Hello, this is Harry. Welcome again to a senior's perspective with a twist. Hope it's been a good day for you, wherever you're at. And I'm in the Midwest, and we are digging out of large scale snow. I won't call it a storm, but some are calling it that. But it was a lot of snow. I believe over 7 or 8 inches or more in my area that we got, and so uh, had a lot of digging to do yesterday, and I did some today, help my sister out. But we want to talk about things we seniors did and remember years ago, and specifically, I want to talk about sandwiches. Of all the things to talk about, sandwiches that you used to make and I used to make, and how it has affected us today, how we eat today, how you eat, uh, some of the foods you have continued to eat, so have I, and has affected us when we go to the restaurants, when we go out, when we go to somewhere to eat. We eat certain foods. But we want to talk about sandwiches that you and I made when we were allowed, when we first started making our sandwiches, because our parents felt comfortable enough to allow us to make those sandwiches. And we started off, maybe you started out, maybe a lot of us started out with bologna sandwiches. And the reason our parents held up on us when we were, real young, is because of the messes that we would make. The drop meat on the floor, pick it back up, and put it on the sandwich. Those kind of things that kids do. But do you remember doing those kinds of things? Making your bologna sandwich, maybe with cheese on it, maybe without cheese. As we were coming up, there was bologna sandwiches. Maybe somebody had a pickle sandwich, uh, an egg sandwich, a bacon sandwich, maybe a bacon and egg sandwich. Um, we did all kinds of sandwiches when we were younger. And I'm going to start calling off some of the sandwiches that um, we probably made, you made, and along with sometimes a mess. But we made bologna sandwiches, pickle sandwiches, lettuce sandwiches. Did you make bean sandwiches sometimes? It depended on the financial circumstances that our family may have been in, uh, as far as which kinds of sandwiches that we would make. But don't you remember? And you know what? You can, if you want to, you can put kinds of sandwiches that you made down in the comments, and whether you liked it or not, or whether it was maybe out of necessity, or was simply your favorite type of sandwich to make on your own. Uh, but we made bacon sandwiches, like I said, cheese sandwiches. Nothing better than a grilled cheese sandwich and maybe some tomato soup. That's if you like that kind of setup. Uh, then there were not only the egg sandwiches with maybe some mustard or some ranch uh, to make it hit off. Uh, there was ham sandwiches we would make sometimes. Uh, Sometimes there was food left in the refrigerator, and our parents may have told us, when you get home, you can make yourself a sandwich. You remember those days when we were allowed to fix our own sandwiches? Uh, for a time, my mom fixed my sandwich and put it in front of me. But when you and I got old enough, we were allowed to make our own sandwiches. We would make ham sandwiches, as I said, maybe some mustard on it, maybe some mayo, We would make hamburger sandwiches. Remember that? Eating hamburger sandwiches? Maybe put some pickles on it, maybe some cheese, and again, some mustard, ketchup. Some people didn't want nothing on it. Some kids. Then there were peanut butter. This was the basic for a lot of kids. Peanut butter, maybe some jelly to go with it, or a jelly sandwich and nothing else. We made all kinds of sandwiches, and sometimes the kitchen might look a wreck when we were, real young and just starting to, spread our wings and start to do things for ourselves, like tie our own shoes and put our own clothes on when you got a certain age. And then you kind of felt like, hey, I'm no longer a little, toddler. I can do for myself. You remember those days? When we start looking at us as seniors, we do a lot of reflecting. We think back to things that we once did. We have memories. Sometimes we sit and we chuckle. Somebody might be looking at us and wonder why we're laughing. We're laughing because we're reminiscing. We're having nostalgic days of what we did many, many years ago when we were younger. And I'm not getting away from those sandwiches. That's still the subject. Do you remember when you were making your sandwiches? Peanut butter, like I said. Even we would sometimes make ketchup. You remember making ketchup sandwiches when you didn't have nothing else to put on the bread? Beef sandwiches. We would make do with what we had when we were younger. We, as seniors, again, recalling back the different kinds of sandwiches. Sometimes we would make double deckers, and that's when we got older. We became more, more creative. And of course, we were larger, we were bigger. We were like either puberty or a young teenager or even teenagers. We would make these different kinds of sandwiches. And we'd come back the next day possibly and make the same sandwich, or sometimes the kids would experiment, make a different sandwich. And don't let us have our buddies over. We'd make them one, or we'd allow them to make one. The bologna sandwiches, the hamburger, the cheese sandwiches. And they didn't have to be grilled. Just two slices of bread and a slice of bologna, sometimes two slices of bologna and a slice of cheese. And hey, we as kids, we were all set. You remember those days? We all have had, and I'm not talking about making a bowl of cereal. We're talking about sandwiches. Still talking about sandwiches. We made all kinds of sandwiches. I know I have not named all the different sandwiches that some of you made. These are just the ones that I can think of that me and my friends made when I was coming up. And that has carried on till our senior years. I just bought some bologna the other day at the store. You probably bought some too. I know that some people don't like bologna. Maybe some of you have decided years ago that you never eat another bologna sandwich because you had enough of them when you were young. Some people are like that. Nothing against them, but we all have developed habits that we as seniors, some of those habits we are still carrying on today. They're still part of our regimen. We'll go in the refrigerator and look for something to eat, and we don't feel like cooking. So we get out the loaf of bread, and when we get out, whatever kind of meat might be in there, might be a ham spread or chicken salad, or even what is that? Macaroni and cheese you might have left over, or macaroni salad. sandwich. Oh my goodness. And I'm an adult. I'm a senior, but I've made those kinds of sandwiches since I've been a senior. And no telling what kind of sandwiches you've made. I just can't hear you right now as you're confessing the kinds of sandwiches that you made. And they were satisfying. And they hit the spot for that moment. That is something that we as seniors can bring back to our memories. Those were nice times, when we were kids, when we were young, that we would make our own sandwiches, and we would continue that on. I mean, that wasn't a one-time thing. Might make 2 of those sandwiches a week, or 3 or 4 of them, if we were allowed to, or if there was nothing else fixed at that particular time. So that's what we're talking about today, is remembering when we made, as seniors, we were kids then, we started off making sandwiches for ourselves. Sometimes we would copy what our parents put before us, and we liked it. And we knew that the supplies was, in the house, in the kitchen. The bread was there, the whatever we was gonna put between the bread. Notice I'm not calling out, like I could call out bologna or peanut butter and jelly, but I'm saying whatever you had in your refrigerator, in your cabinet, you would take that and make those sandwiches. And you know what? They were good. They tasted good. Do you remember that? Sandwiches that you fixed and I fixed, and they hit the spot. And we were happy. And we would fix that sandwich, eat it. If we wasn't sitting down to look at the TV, the cartoons, or something else, or study, or we came in for a refill because we'd been outside playing. And, kids burn up a lot of energy because they're moving around. At least the kids that when we were coming up, wasn't no staying in no house and talking on the phone or playing Nintendo and all that. That didn't exist back. At least it didn't during my time. You had your rotary phones, and you go outside, and you'd come in. Sometimes parents get mad at you because you were in and out. And you remember those days? Those are some fun days. Sometimes we could come in to get a sandwich, some more energy. And when we get that sandwich, we go back out and play, and burn up some more energy. But those were some fun days of when we were again allowed by our parents to make sandwiches for ourselves, as well as they prepared sandwiches for us, because that's what we're talking about. Remembering when we were allowed to make sandwiches for ourselves, and the different types of sandwiches, different kinds of sandwiches that we would make for ourselves. I was never, as a rule, a triple decker person, unless I was extremely hungry. What I would do is make 2 sandwiches, 4 pieces of bread, and between those, 2 pieces, I'd have something, and sometimes I might have a variety. I might have a go in there. I was probably a teenager when I did this. Actually cook the eggs and make an egg sandwich, and also some bacon. One sandwich have bacon, just bacon on it, and the other sandwich had bacon and eggs. Or I'd make 2 sandwiches with bacon and eggs on both of them with some mayo. And you probably did something similar. Your sandwiches may have been different. Maybe you went in and got some cold cuts. Maybe there was some leftover ham, or bologna, or maybe you come up with a cheese sandwich. Whatever you decided you wanted to do. Peanut butter, and peanut butter was a staple in many homes. To to make a peanut butter sandwich. And then if you had the jelly in there, you might put the jelly on there. Some kids, they're different, or they were different, and we had different tastes. You remember, your taste might be different than your brother or your sisters. They might like a cheese sandwich while you wanted a peanut butter sandwich. You remember those days where you made your choice, what you wanted, and they made their choice? Yeah, I'm calling back what we as seniors sometimes think about. We think about things we did years ago and how it brought joy and happiness to us when we were youth, in our young days, in our childhood days. I ask that if you remember some of those days and you'd like to make a comment about them, feel free to say what your favorite sandwich was during your youthful days, or sandwiches. What were maybe you had more than one favorite sandwich that you would switch up on. You come in, you're allowed to fix a sandwich. You might fix a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Then another day you might fix a cheese sandwich, couple slices of cheese. You might even take those 2 slices of cheese, put them in between 2 slices of bread, and then put them on the skillet, and heat them up, make a grilled cheese. We did those kinds of things, if you recall, about making sandwiches. So sandwiches is something that we wanted to just bring back to our memories, things that we did when we were a lot younger. And we sometimes think about some of those things, and we do chuckle when we think about what we did. And you have carried, and I have carried on some of those same traditions that we developed many, many years ago. We still eat some of those same types of sandwiches today because we grew up with those kinds of sandwiches, made available to us through our parents, who worked hard and provided for us, and allowed us, when we got a certain age, to fix our own sandwiches. And we did have preferences. Many of us had preferences. One thing I did not mention is turkey sandwiches. I don't remember saying turkey. Turkey was a pretty good meat to eat, in between those 2 slices of bread, and put some, you could put cheese on that, and ketchup or mustard or whatever, mayo, whatever it was that you liked on your sandwich. So with that being said, talking about the different sandwiches that we as seniors recall we made many years ago, and it's good to remember, it's good to recall how we took care of ourselves, how our parents took care of us and allowed us at certain ages to start making our own sandwiches. And today we're still eating some of those same types of sandwiches that we grew up with. I know I'm not the only one that can recall that. I know you also remember the sandwiches that you made. So with that being said, talking about remembering when we made our own sandwiches and our parents allowed us to do it. With that being said, I say thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed, I ask that you would subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments you'd like to make about today's talk about making sandwiches, we welcome your comments. And we say thank you and have a good day.